Hello and welcome to the Magical Forest. Tonight, before we begin, we would like to share with you one of our inspirations. Many years ago, in 1995, the Walt Disney Corporation and Pixar created the movie franchise, Toy Story. Within these movies, they introduced the iconic characters such as Sheriff Woody, Buzz Lightyear, and Rex the Dinosaur. They even created memorable places such as Al's Toy Barn and Pizza Planet. This film has, so far, 3 sequels, and each had a profound impact on us as storytellers. Tonight, we would like to mark the 30th anniversary, 22nd November, with our tribute to these movies. We hope you enjoy our story with the legendary Disney characters in The Magical Toy Story. The Great Escape. From civilization into the wild. What a great joy it is to load up the car and flamoon off into the distance. But this car isn't just an average car. Well, it is, but the cargo certainly isn't. You see, inside the box atop this rather slow-moving car are 2 very familiar faces who are currently trying to sleep through this rather long journey. Sadly, this is not to be as other cars would speed by. Our heroes are shaken and disturbed by the roars of the engines as they passed by. The ground rumbled, tremored and shook, and our special friends could not relax at all. It seemed like more and more cars were racing by. Some even toot their horns loudly. They blasted the air with the honk of a grizzly goose. This unstoppable noise made any kind of rest impossible. Our heroes were very much awake when they should have been drifting into a deep, relaxing slumber. I mean, how could they, or anyone, possibly sleep through all of this? As one enormous horn toots, Woody and Buzz emerged from the safety of their box to see what all the noise was. This was a mistake, and they ought to have stayed inside the box where they were safe. It would only take a stiff bump in the road to relieve Woody and Buzz of their temporary sanctuary. Oh gosh! Suddenly, Woody and Buzz's car hit a small hole in the road, and Woody was the first of the 2 friends to be ejected from the box. Free falling and confused, Woody held onto his hat as tightly as he could as he bounced along the road behind his car, which was now zooming off into the distance without him. After tumbling for as long as he did, Woody shakily climbed to his feet. His eyes hadn't stopped spinning and he felt awful. Luckily, he was not damaged by the fall, and his hat was firmly on his head. Woody looked around at the once busy road to see that it was now strangely empty. But Woody could see something much more important coming his way. It was Buzz. He was also thrown into the air by the bump. But luckily for Buzz, there was no bouncing on the road for him. He had a solution for this problem and a technique that Woody once called falling with style. Buzz deployed his wings, and he landed as safely as he could on the side of the road. He was quite some way ahead of the dazed and confused Woody. Torn between chasing the car and rescuing Woody, the great space adventurer chose to help his friend. No longer being in flight meant that Buzz had to walk to catch up to Woody, who looked shocked. After all, it was a mighty fall. Woody was glad Buzz had a soft landing, but he was still a little shaken up. Whoosh! A very speedy car roared past. The vortex of wind launched Woody's trusty hat into the air once more, and Woody had to run as fast as he could to catch it. The wind blew Woody's hat further and further away. It was a constant moving and bouncing blur to Woody, like a boat bobbing on the water, and as more cars and trucks roared past, the more the unsteady wind would blow his hat from his reach. Becoming exhausted from chasing his hat, Woody knew he couldn't let it blow away, and so his great determination kept him running. Eventually the traffic faded, the wind eased, and Woody's hat settled on the grass at the edge of the forest. This moment of quiet gave Woody a chance to catch up. He ran as fast as his tired little legs could take him until he reached his prized possession. Poor Woody puffed and panted as he tried to catch his breath. He wasn't made to run uphill. Feeling ever so slightly less exhausted once his breath was back, Woody bent down and picked up his hat. He dusted it off with great pride and placed it on his head where it belonged. For the briefest of moments, Woody felt whole again. But this moment passed as quickly as a realization grew. It dawned on Woody all at once. The car was gone. It had vanished into the distance, and the only thing he knew for sure was where the car was headed. Their destination was the forest outlet for Pizza Planet. They were headed north, and now Woody didn't even know which way that was. He was frightened, worried, and in the melee, he'd lost sight of Buzz. Woody was certainly uncertain about what to do next. Woody's worry whirled him. A great panic was building within him, and then an extremely familiar, brash optimism burst into Woody's view. It was Buzz. And Buzz had a plan. He knew what to do next. But Woody wasn't quite ready yet. He was happy to see his friend, but he needed a moment to gather his thoughts, and a moment is what Buzz gave him. But there was a problem. Woody had started to panic. His thoughts were running wild. He was overwhelmed. He'd never been out alone without a human in the wild before. In an actual forest, yes, there had been moments in streets, but never in a place like this. Buzz was concerned for his old friend. They sat down together at the base of the tree and rested. After a few moments of restings, both Woody and Buzz had dozed off to sleep. The peace of the forest was unique. The road was only meters away, but it seemed like it was somewhere else entirely. When Buzz awoke, he was alone. Feeling a great sense of adventure brewing, Buzz leapt to his feet and began to look around for Woody. Where could Woody be? Buzz looked and looked, but he could not find Woody. He looked at his Star Command wrist controller. With a great sigh, he wished it would work just this once. Just then, in the distance, he heard something. But what was it? It was Woody, and he was calling out his name, Buzz, Buzz, Buzz. Relieved, Buzz ran as fast as he could towards his friend. Woody was looking at some moss he'd found. Moss is a fluffy green growth, he explained to Buzz, and it was growing on one side of tree. As he'd wandered around, he found that this was growing on the same side of all of the trees in the area. Woody knew that moss only grows on the north side of trees, and Pizza Planet was north of where they were, so they only had to follow the mossy trees. But Woody wasn't met with the fanfare he had hoped for, as Buzz pointed out that some trees had moss on both sides, and they should come up with a different plan. Woody, however, was determined to follow the moss north, whereas Buzz suggested using the direction of the sun. Woody's wirrelsome worry and Buzz's clear-headed confidence caused our heroes to clash. No matter how they decided to discuss the matter, they simply could not agree with each other. And so they thought there was only one course of action to take. That was to go their separate ways. Buzz followed the sun, and Woody walked towards the foliage so he could follow the mossy trees. Now alone, Woody crawled through the undergrowth of the forest to find a mossy tree. He found one and followed its direction until he came to another. He repeated this over and over. This is going well, he thought to himself. After a short while, Woody had started to think that he might have been here to this spot before. But he couldn't have been crawling in circles, could he? Woody didn't think he had, and so he continued onwards, following tree after tree after tree. Aha! Woody exclaimed. Finally a breakthrough! He found a slight clearing, and he could see a faint red light in the distance. He knew that light, and that was certainly Pizza Planet. Inspired by his discovery, Woody plowed onwards. His confidence had grown, and his worry had shrunk. Woody really felt he was making remarkable progress now, until he took one step too many. Ah! Woody, and his confidence plummeted down an extremely short but steep embankment. Woody closed his eyes and waited for the moment where he would say, ouch. His fall had come to a complete stop. He heard the word ouch, but it didn't come from his mouth. Woody's fall had been broken by Buzz. Although Woody didn't feel particularly sore, Buzz certainly did. Woody apologized, and Buzz's only request was to be pulled out of the mud. Quickly jumping to his feet, Woody took Buzz's hand and he pulled like he'd never pulled before. The mud was thick and Buzz was far from being nautically dynamic. But that did not soften Woody's resolve. He continued to pull and pull until they were both free from the extremely insidious mud. Now on dry land and clean of mud, Woody and Buzz apologized to each other. They put their arms around each other in mutual forgiveness and agreed on a plan to head towards the light in the distance. Together, our valiant heroes walked towards Pizza Planet. They continued along the flat path. They watched their step, and Buzz, very bravely, didn't take the opportunity to push Woody into one of the many muddy puddles they had to walk past. The forest seemed to stretch on for eternity. The trees all looked the same, but it all felt so very quiet and peaceful. Woody and Buzz walked in a comfortable silence together. The worry had all but faded in Woody. It had been replaced by hope, a hope he only ever feels when he and Buzz are together. And there it was, the prized beacon of pizza. Woody and Buzz had made it. After such a long walk, they were finally there. But that is not the adventure over. They still needed to find their car and get back in, unnoticed. Our heroes sneaked, snuck, stealthed, and shadowed their way around the huge parking lot. They didn't have much luck finding the car. And then, all at once, at the same time, Woody and Buzz saw it, and it was beautiful. Their car was there, empty and waiting for them. With no time to lose, Woody and Buzz quickly climbed up onto the roof of the car and jumped into the box. They closed the lid behind them and agreed not to peek out again until they had arrived at their new home. Woody and Buzz made themselves comfortable and drifted off to sleep. And that is what we should do too. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our story. We'll see you next time in the magical forest. Good night.
Robbie was with Isha, Bernie carried heavy weight, and Bertie watched on while Ron saved the day. Hudson built some houses, and Frank worked outside. Selma went flying, and Bosco stayed inside. Masley ruled his kingdom, Brave Star flew through space. Adam has adventured, and Boba rested all day. Penny was amazing, Mikey won his race. Selena danced like an angel, while Chris had so much to make. Barbarian is sleeping after a long and magical day. Lynn Hugh is dreaming of his adventures today. Everyone is fast asleep, drifting and dreaming. Little eyes closed tight, snuggled and sleeping. Let's whisper goodnight. Good night.
Good night.